and how many banks have heard that? When someone goes, when the bank asks you what's your track record, and you go, check my YouTube, that's different, isn't it? And they're going to see, because what they want to know is, the main thing is, can you get over the hurdles and the problems? That's the main thing, isn't it? When it's going smooth, it's okay. So can you manage the team? Can you manage the design team, the build team? Have you got a project manager, QS, PM, or whoever is involved? Can you manage them and manage all the hurdles that come up and get through it? So if that's on camera, it's a wrap. Success begets success, isn't it? Yeah, money attracts. Success gets you more success. That's what happens.
Snowball effect where things just get bigger and bigger.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Is it Nottingham?
Nottingham, yeah.
I'm going to come to your city very soon.
I mean, you worked in Leicester, didn't you? You've got projects in Leicester.
I'm not anymore. I haven't got them. I used to.
You sold them off?
I used to have. So in Leicester, I did a lot of lettings and management.
Oh, yeah.
So I had a lettings and management company. And then I started doing that rent to rent. But I don't know if it was called rent to rent back then. But I called it leasing. So I used to have a bunch of houses I used to do that with as well. You're a landlord, I'll lease it from you for £1,000, and then I'll go and rent it for £2,000. That grand's mine. I never used to include bills in my stuff.
What, per room or?
I never used to include bills. It was like a student house. It used to be a group usually of students. A group of 5 students. They're paying, let's say, £2,000. And
so you charge it as a whole?
Let's charge it to a group. So I used to see people teach this stuff, and I thought, well, I don't think they're teaching it right, because otherwise I've got to worry about the usage of the utilities. Are they abusing it? And you got to pay the gas, electric, internet, have a communal cleaner, are they keeping it clean? And you got individual tenants moving in and out, and you got to get that room sorted. And then I hated it. That's why I got out of it.
So you can sell it or what? I'm going to refinance it. Keep it hard. Because obviously we just want to keep growing from start to finish. So
no, that's what I'm calling lifetime living.
Lifetime living.
Co-living is, well, at least for the demographic that I'm targeting, it can be for older people, but the demographic I'm targeting is generally going to be 21 to 35 year olds. And they're looking for their own potentially self-contained studio or flat, small flat, or they're happy to live with others in an apartment. But all of that forms part of a larger apartment complex building, whereby there's a lot of amenity space and social spaces. So just like when you came into this building, there's a cafe, there's places to work, there's a reception, there's like a living area, chill out area. That's what the co-living space has. So you've got all the apartments above, and then you come down to a core area, which ideally, on the scheme that I'm doing, we're dedicating, we're planning to dedicate a whole floor to amenity space. So that floor is going to have all the stuff I just mentioned, dining rooms you can hire for you and your friends. So it's about having a social lifestyle, but just on a bigger scale. A bunch of young professionals and people that fit within that demographic can't necessarily afford to live by themselves in a one-bed apartment somewhere. It's quite expensive. And how much is a one-bed apartment in Nottingham?
You're looking about 600.
600?
5-6.
So 500-600 quid, plus council tax, plus water, plus
800, 900.
Gas if there's gas in the building. Exactly. So
it's not worth it.
You're spending potentially £1,000, whereas co-living may cost you 600 quid or 700 quid, and you're getting all of that plus your bills included, fast Wi-Fi, and you're still getting to mix with. So it's almost like a large HMO, if you like. But to a really nice standard and vast communal and amenity space. So it's trying to put a spin on a way of living, really.
So in terms of like the class used, would it be classed as a HMO? It's like a large HMO?
We don't know yet. Because it's all new. It's relatively untested. There's to be fair, there was a scheme last year in Manchester. There's 2 schemes that I'm aware of that have been approved for purpose-built co-living, i.e. the building's been built specifically for co-living, i.e. people coming together, living together, sharing a lot of facilities, and then having a lot of amenity space to then use. Sui generis.
Sui generis.
So that's what student is currently approved under.
Really?
So student accommodation doesn't have its own class, it's under sui generis.
It will be HMOs?
No. So I'm talking about purpose-built student accommodation. So the purpose-built stuff is classed as sui generis, so we think co-living should come under that as well. Should come under that because Obviously, apartments come under, I think C3, is it C3 or C4? I think it's C3 residential.
Just like in Nottingham, all the good areas, they're all Article 4.
Yeah.
They're all Article 4.
Because a bunch of people have stepped in and they're turning everything into HMOs, weren't they?
All the 4 beds making more into shared living.
Yeah.
Shared accommodation. But co-living, that sounds good.
It's just on a larger scale, so it's what you're doing, but extracting. Instead of doing a 4 or 5 bed, you're trying to extract 2, 3, 400 people into a large building. Because what are the benefits of? What would you say the benefits are of living in a house share? Why people are attracted to a house share?
They save money. In a house share, they're definitely going to save money. They might have a friend that they want to live with, or they want to earn space at the same time. So they might move into, say, a HMO with their friend. Their friend has their room upstairs, and they have their room downstairs. Another thing, being close to the centre, they're not paying a premium.
Yeah. What else? Meeting new people.
Yeah. The social aspect.
Social aspect's pretty cool, because you should ideally be chilling with people of a similar interest. It's not something you see at the moment, is it?
It's not. It's definitely a new concept. I've not heard of it before. I was trying to explain.
I like to think I made that one up.
Yeah, you must have.
I kind of came about to it as well through conversations with various different people and kind of getting to like, you know what, there's something here, there's something about trying to get someone to stay. If you treat them well, they won't want to leave.
Okay, so we're here today with Anthony Laville, and we're just going to kind of pick his brain a little bit and just trying to get to know Anthony a little bit. For those of you that don't know, Anthony's a property developer, investor, and he's doing some really great, amazing deals at the moment. So we're going to try and hear a little bit more about that, and thank you for coming, Anthony. Appreciate it. You're welcome. What was you actually doing prior to property?
I was a student, so I had a part-time job in Asda as a student, and when I graduated, I was already doing some of the lets for landlords. So when I left, instead of getting a graduate job or going into that sort of world and applying for a bunch of jobs and stuff, I decided to give working full-time in my own business a go, because at that point I had the least responsibilities and not the kind of responsibilities I have now in terms of like family, married, kids and stuff. So back then when I was a student, there's like, I could move back home, have next to no expenses. So my downside was very little and the upside was infinite. So it made total sense to go and start a business.
I know you are doing some big development projects at the moment. What would you say in property investing in general on a day-to-day basis? What's the hardest thing about property?
I think it's probably trying to do well in any industry. It's about remaining consistent, and I think you need an element of patience, but I think for the most part it's about being consistent and being resilient and relentless. So I think the more you're pushing for deals, the more you're pushing for finance, whether that's finance, JV partners, deals, new people to work with, architects, whatever it is, and pushing people to perform at the level that you need. I think it's just about continually doing that to get the results you need.
I know you are quite big in student accommodation. Is that the only strategy you use, or do you do other things, for example HMOs or single lets?
Number one, I wouldn't say I'm big in student accommodation. I'm not big at all. But thanks for the words of encouragement. I've got some houses. I've got a few houses that I own. That's it. On top of that, I've got some commercial properties that I own that are for development purposes. So that those are sites that are going to be redeveloped.
Okay. So
the deals that I'm working on are primarily student accommodations or purpose-built student accommodation. So they're varying sizes from 40, 50 beds up to 200 plus.
Yeah.
So that's primarily what I'm doing in the student accommodation space. Yeah. And then I'm working on currently Birmingham's first co-living scheme.
Yeah.
So that will house in the region of somewhere 200 occupants. Hopefully, fingers crossed, if we get planning.
Yeah.
So it's a mix between co-living and student accommodation, and I've got a mixed-use scheme as well I'm working on, so it's a commercial at the bottom and residential apartments at the top. So something that always involves housing, for now, at least my demographic that I'm targeting is the younger demographic, so students and in separate schemes, young professionals. In terms of the numbers, maybe that's something I'll disclose another time if you interview me again. But the GDV, I'm expecting that to be around 20 million gross development value, and we want to retain that. So once it's been developed. So
Okay. And you know your project, is it you funding these projects with investors' money or purely investors, or you're not able to say? It's okay if you
I can say, that's fine. I work with joint venture partners. So on some of the deals we've co-invested, and other deals I've had an investor come in. I'm increasingly working with joint venture partners or investors, whatever you want to call them. They put up the cash, and they get usually a preferred return, and we share the profit. We share the equity and we share the profits of the deal.
Okay, great. So you offer like a fixed guaranteed return and also a share of the profits as well.
So I wouldn't call it guaranteed. It's a preferred return. There's no guarantees in investment. At all. All capital's at risk. So you show them in a deal. Let's say it's £1 million deal, and you tell them that look, I'm buying it for. I've agreed to buy it for £1 million. If we get planning permission, it'll be worth £2 million. So on your £1 million, you're going to get a 10% preferred return. So that's 100 grand on top of your £1 million. If we get planning permission plus, we've got a share of the profits. So whatever you agree, the share of the profits are the remaining 900k. That's the share plus they get them 100 grand back because that's the preferred return, preferred equity.
Now, with these buildings, when you're purchasing them, do you buy them subject to planning? On the condition that you do get the planning application granted, or do you just buy them and just hope for the best?
It's a mix. So some of them, you hope. I think it's always hoping for the best. Because either way, planning permission is very expensive. So it's a very expensive thing to do. So you're looking, on the cheaper end of, or at least the kind of deals that I'm doing. The cheap end is like 50k.
Is that just for the application?
That's just for the planning application. So that includes architect fees and some of the other stuff, consultants who got to consult to put the application in, but that's the cheap end. But generally you're looking 60, 70, 80k plus. If you're looking at a really large scheme, 300, 250 beds plus, you're well over 100k, easy. So it's not a small amount of money that you're risking. So it takes, when it comes to joint venture partners, investor, they're clearly sophisticated and they're wealthy. They understand the risks. But there's high reward in it for them, so it's high risk, high reward. It doesn't have to be 10%, could be more, could be less. Put down a deposit, depends on what the deal is. Put down a deposit and then ideally be allowed some time to then go and get planning permission. And then that just reduces the cash outlay then, so if you've agreed to buy the building for, 500k, if they allow you some time, at least then you can hopefully get planning permission, and during that period, if you get planning permission, then the building hopefully has gone up in value. And then it's being valued then on the higher rate, and then so if you want to buy the building with financing, or even if you're buying it in cash, there's a bit more security there. And other deals are subject to planning, other deals are with option agreements, so you've got the exclusive right to buy a property over a period of time. You've paid an option fee for that, so you paid a consideration, and then you agree an end price, which is also known as the strike price. So there's obviously risks involved in the game. Clearly, you could be a developer and buy sites that already have planning permission in place. So there's less profit involved in that, but there's a lot less risk.
Is that generally what you'd say you've done so far, or have you gone for building with no planning permission?
No, it's without planning. That's my key. Because I'm in it to retain. I've got to have enough profit in it so I can refinance.
Of course.
So when I want to refinance, I've got to refinance at 65, 75, 70% loan to value. So if I need to get a term loan, there needs to be enough profit in it so I can refinance. If there's not, then I'm going to be forced to sell, or I'm going to hit some other complications. So I profit. So once I get planning permission, I profit because it increases in value. So there's the risk. So the risk I take for putting in a planning application and paying all that money, if it gets planning, it goes up in value. That increase in value is profit.
Then I go then to develop, and once I develop, there's a developer profit on top of that.
Yeah.
So then you add those two profits together, and hopefully that leaves enough margin for you to be able to refinance and keep the property. There's not many investors that like their money left in institutions and funds, and they're set up for that. They're okay to do that. When you're dealing with smaller scale investors, and maybe high net worth or whatever you want to call them, some are less likely or less keen to leave cash in, because cash can be worked and you should get a return on your cash, and that's where the preferred equity can come in. I mean, I don't always need preferred equity. It just depends on the deal. I've agreed to buy it for £1 million, and if I get a planning permission, it'll be worth 1.3. My planning costs 100 grand, so including. So buying the land and the planning is 1.1 plus costs, and it will only be worth 1.3. That's a very high risk. So if you only profit just to the UK and you've risked 100 grand, it's not a great return, because there's a lot of risk involved. So then your option fee, the amount you pay up front, you may just decide then to cover the person's legal fees, or put a nominal payment of £1 down. If there's a higher reward, if the land will be worth £2 million and you've agreed £1 million and your planning costs 100 grand, then you may say to them, I can afford to put down a 50 grand option fee. It depends on the deal.
Okay. Now, in terms of finding these projects, who finds them? Is it yourself, or do you have sources? How does that work?
Most of my deals I find myself, literally myself. I walk around. So this is like going city centre now, going past. I may walk around, see that piece of land or that car park there, and I think, hold on, who owns that car park there? Shall I approach them? I know what that car park is already, but let's say that wasn't owned by the council. I'd get my assistant, so I'll tell my assistant, look, see a piece of land, please send a letter, find the owner, send the letter to them, and continually follow up with letters. And if we can find a contact number for them online, or if it's a business that owns it, then we'll call them directly, or I'll call them and let them know straight that they've seen the property, I'm interested in buying it. I'm a developer, I'm looking for sites locally, this is what I do. Very upfront, very straightforward. I tell them, I'm not into owning a car park, I'm not into owning land, I'm not into owning a commercial building, I'm into developing something. So if I buy it, it's on the basis I get planning permission. That's something at my cost. Nothing changes for you. You operate the building or the land as you're currently operating it, and I'll go out and get planning permission at my time and at my cost. If it works out, you get a ton of money for your building. Because the money that I offer is more than what the building is worth, or what the land's worth as it stands. So that's why it's quite enticing. So it works well for a landowner or a vendor, someone trying to sell, because they get a lot more money than it's worth currently, and they don't take any risk. So they sit back, they wait for it to come in, and they keep keep their fingers crossed that the person who's come to offer the deal is competent enough to get the planning permission and then buy the deal.
So you pay slightly above their asking price, is that right? Or?
Well, it's usually off market, so I pay above what it's worth. 9 times out of 10, it's above what it's worth.
And then you'll go in, get planning permission.
That capital that's been risked has been worth it. The land's gone up in value, the property's gone up in value because of the planning permission in place. And they only wins because I'm paying them more than what it's worth.
Now, on these big deals, can you negotiate, say on an option, can you negotiate the down payment?
You may say that your consideration is your car, or you've got some nice pair of shoes. I mean, no one does that. Everyone puts down money. But the consideration is the consideration. You've got to get that option agreement, you've got to give them something in return. You're getting an exclusive period of time to buy it. You've got to give them something in return legally. So that's the core of the consideration.
Now, Anthony, I know that when, obviously in residential, say HMOs for example, you can do up a property, you can do up an HMO, they can come out and they'll value it less than it's actually worth. Or even just with a normal refurb, like say a 4-bed house, you do it up, they come out, you know it's worth 150, but then they might say, it's worth 125. Have you experienced that? Obviously on a bigger scale, it could be a massive potential loss really, if you're planning on keeping it. Well, not a loss, but you're not able to recycle your money as much.
I can't really see it. As long as you get the rental you're supposed to get, so you've got to stabilise the asset. Tenants got agreements, got the operation, you've got to be getting rented. They value it based on the income. So as long as the market conditions are good, and you're getting this income and that's working out, then they'll value it at a decent level. HMOs are a bit tough because a lot of people, there's less friction in doing a HMO deal than there is doing a large apartment. purpose-built student accommodation deal. And that's why valuers can sometimes take a dim view, because they'll say, look, next door just sold for 125, how can yours be worth 180? Just because you change a few rooms. So that's why some will value it on income. So that's where you really get a lot of the benefit. Those that value it based on their income and what it's producing is where the benefit is, and not based on bricks and mortar. Some people say leave the valuer to it and let you go around your property by yourself. I've never been into that. I'd rather be there and let them know certain things like, look, that property sold for that down there, that sold for that. Just a nice chit chat. Most of them that come out are okay. Might get the odd funny one, but in general, you know, people are people. It's normal, nice people.
I didn't know anything about that, so that's helpful for me. That, you know, I'm sure other people as well. Because I think there's a lot of people, they know what they're doing in terms of refurbishing HMOs and things like that, but how do you get from there to doing a big deal?
You just do it, and that's like, it's hard, isn't it, to like... And that's, I think I have trouble with that sometimes, for sure. Especially when like I'm trying to work out like, well, how do I go to a tower? How do I do a 40-story tower? Because the principles are the same. I suppose a lot of it's just down to finding a good site and finding the money, I suppose. That's a big thing. But I think it's just about doing it oftentimes. If you can find someone that's experienced to get advice from, that's always handy.
I've heard a few people say, if you have a great deal, the money will kind of follow you. Do you believe that's true? Or?
Yeah, it's true. Sometimes you got to work really hard for it. But in general, if it's a really good deal, somebody wanting, it may not necessarily be on the terms that you want, but somebody will want in, for sure. If the deal's good enough. But you can't just sit there, sit in your room or sit in your living room thinking, we've got the deal now. Someone's gonna, no, you got to get out there, market it, push it, try and get finance raised for it. If that's what you're looking for, you know, the money, then it will come. Somebody will go, I want in. Sure.
Can I speak to people like yourself?
Well, let me tell you what I like out of people. My spin on it is, I'm never going to do a course. I'm never going to charge. I'm never going to personally charge for them, so I'm never going to do a course. I'm going to give all my stuff away for free that I know and that I think that I'm doing for free. And in the end, it comes back around in reputation, recognition, because I do not want to be known as a teacher. I want to be known, if anything, as a developer and a businessman that does deals. That's what I want to be known as. I don't want teachers to be
focus on your deals.
Focus on the way I see it, deals solve all my problems. Every problem I have comes back to a deal. I've worked that out. I've worked all that out. If you're really into deals and you're making, John, the big guys are making 7-8 figures per deal personally. If you're making 7-8 figures per deal, then you're not going to teach because it's not a good use of your time. So if you actually want to be a teacher, then it's great, do it. But if it's about making money, then there's more money.
Just focus on the deal.
The real big guys, they're not on camera. It's not me. Like, they're not, do you know what I mean? I'm nothing. I'm just fucking. So, the real ones that are actually killing it, they're not on camera. They don't do this social media shit. Things are changing though. 5-10 years time, all the big boys will be on social media. There will be. So like us, we're just getting ahead of the curve slightly, because by the time we get to that stage, hopefully there's a massive following and things become a lot easier. But deals come. I get people offering me on Instagram. In the past month, I've had somebody offer me 30 grand. I've had somebody offer me 50 grand.
Trying to JV with you?
Like invest or JV. I'm like, I can't do anything with it. Like, number one, I don't know you, and you don't know me. And number two, like, I can't do anything with 50 grand. It doesn't. My planning application's like 50 grand plus, so I can't do anything with. Do you know what I mean? So I can't do anything with the money anyway. So it's interesting. It's been a pleasure. Next time you're in Birmingham, give me a shout.
Appreciate it.
I like that. I'll be interested to see how it comes out.
Definitely,
You're editing it as well.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, nice one.
Anthony, good luck, man.
Yeah, you too. Keep in touch. Keep in touch, man. Keep in touch. Look, if you want to start doing that stuff, if you've seen a deal that you want to work on, let me know.
And in terms of sourcing and that, is there anything you want looking for in Nottingham buildings wise?
I'm looking for sites,
Sites.
Any site or building that would be ideal for a large purpose built student accommodation block or co-living. So it may be like an old industrial building or an office block that can be knocked down, or it's a car park, something where I can build something where you look and go, shit, something can be built there.
There's a place I've got in mind, but I just need to have that conversation with him and find out a bit more about it.
also, if you wanted me to do the work, I'd still pay you a fee. And if I had to find the owner and stuff, it's not. Yeah. I'm not like these fucking. It comes back around, doesn't it? Again. Yeah. All right, take it easy, boys.
Yeah, thank you.
Good to meet you
Take
both.
care.
Cheers.